What's up? Welcome to today's episode of Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. My name is Madelyn Burke, alongside the Super Bowl champion, Shaun O'Hara. The phone number here is 201-939-4513. Or join the conversation on social media using hashtag Giants Chat. And just a reminder, an archive of this show and our entire podcast network is available on the Giants mobile app, podcast platforms everywhere, and at giants.com/podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
from
call
the
in
Giants
too.
Podcast Studio, presented by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. Sponsor. Well, now that the lights are on, it's Wednesday, my dudes. Call in and join us.
It's Wednesday after a Victory Monday,
Yes.
So we want to hear all of the enthusiasm, the excitement, everything that built off of that win. What a special day that was. We were there.
We
got
were
to do
there.
the post-game show.
We did.
A lot of hugs, a lot of high fives.
Mm-hmm. A lot of dance moves.
It felt good.
Yeah, it felt good. And you know what? Very excited for Jackson Dart. What a great rookie performance for him. He is the first rookie to win his first career start against a team that was 3-0 or better.
Wow. Good for him.
At the quarterback position. That's an incredible stat. Future trivia for you Giants fans out there. An incredible performance from Jackson Dart. Obviously, we'd be remiss not to mention how unfortunate it is the loss of Malik Neighbors. He's out for the season with a torn ACL. Incredible talent, and just somebody who we know is just going to come back stronger and better than ever. Luckily he's still 22 years old and early in his career.
It's the worst part of the game, the injuries. And when you see a guy go down like that at any level and any player, you hate that. You hate to see that. We saw a lot of that this week in the NFL. Tyreek Hill went down as well the other night, and it's the most gruesome part of this game. And you hate that it happened, to a young star like Malik Neighbors. But he will come back from this. And look, we saw Saquon Barkley go through something like this. Daniel Jones went through something like this. It's a long road to recovery, but if you're ever going to do something like this, it's better to do it early in the year than do it in November or December, if that is worth whatever it's worth. But I know that the team rallied after that, and look, in the NFL, it's always an opportunity now for somebody else to step up. So there's going to be great opportunities for Slayton, for Bo Collins, for Wandale, for all these guys to step up and try to kind of absorb some of the impact of losing a guy like Malik. But I think, the team rallied around him, and Dable said, look, like we feel bad for him. We have to go win games now. And so do it for Leak. And
perhaps we'll see, a player from the practice squad have an opportunity, like Lil Jordan Humphrey, who was the receiver of Jackson Dart's first touchdown in the preseason. They've got some chemistry brewing already, or some other players who might make an opportunity for themselves in this void. It is a next man up league and next man up mentality, and there's going to be an opportunity there. And we've also seen Cam Scadaboo really secure himself as a reliable target in the passing game and in the running game.
Yeah, and a lot of his reps are due to Tyrone Tracy being hurt. So now all of a sudden Cam has stepped up to the plate. So it'll be interesting to see who can do that. But yeah, great point with Little Jordan, because he and Jackson Dart in the preseason, it was pitch and catch. It was like Stockton Malone, and it was Starks and Ewing. It was kind of budding into that good symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, and it's great energy to see this team coming off a win like this. The offense, we're talking about him a lot because Jackson Dart obviously making his first career start, but the defense, you don't get a win like that without the performance that defense had, the pressure they were getting on the quarterback, the pass rush that they were putting out there. What did you like, especially now that you've kind of gone back and watched that tape? What do you like about what you've seen from that Giants defense?
Yeah, I thought the front was physical right out of the gate. And look, coming into this game, we were talking about the Chargers O-line last week. Rashawn Slater out for the year. Trey Pipkins was kind of hobbled with a knee injury. He was, questionable going into the game. So
and then Joe Alt left the game.
Yeah, he went out early on with an ankle sprain. So, even before he got hurt, this was going to be the emphasis. Like our defensive line, we felt like we had a leg up on them, and that was a mismatch in the Giants' favor. And then Joe Alt goes down, and now it's, I feel like there was blood in the water, and they were getting after him. But I thought they did a really good job getting pressure on Herbert. He never got comfortable. Even when they didn't get a sack, it was a quarterback hit. It was a pressure. I think they had 20 pressures in the game. And pressors lead to turnovers, right? Obviously, the Dexter Lawrence play where he kips it to himself.
The fact that he was doubled on that play, too. Like, he's got two men on him.
Yeah.
double teamed, and he's like, all right, fine, let me just put a hand up and tip it.
He gets double teamed a lot, so
Yes.
that's kind of where that's his office. That's where he lives. But one of the things that used to frustrate us as offensive linemen is if you stoned your guy one-on-one at the line of scrimmage, you could have him locked up, but he all of a sudden throws his hand up and bats the ball down. And now you're getting a minus on your report card or on your grades from the coach. And, you come to the sideline, the coach say, get their hands down. What are you supposed to do?
Right. That's a holding call.
That was Dexter just making a heck of a play. And I think he was just trying to knock the ball down, and it actually went up. And then he made a heck of a play and a heck of a run. We were all rooting for him.
Tackled by Justin Herbert is the hilarious part of that play.
He knew he was coming. Like you could see, even though he was stumbling, he was like, I'm so close. I want to get there. So that would have been fun.
Really wanted that thick six.
Everybody loves the thick six. Yeah. It's great whenever a big man gets it. But Drew Phillips also had a big interception as well. So when you have a defense that's hitting the quarterback, harassing him, getting after him, and then also those create turnovers. So 2 turnovers, and look, you basically hand the ball to the offense at the 1 or 2 yard line. You got to punch those in. You don't want to settle for the field goal, but that is a great recipe for a victory.
Right, absolutely. And, you talk about that red zone struggles kind of continued still in this one. They found themselves inside the 5 a couple of times, had to settle for a field goal. How does this team address that moving forward?
I think what we have seen already with Jackson Dart just through one game is that now the run game is going to be an integral part of that red zone offense.
Yeah.
I think previously, when they got down in the red zone, it was kind of like even if you try to run, it was more an obligatory rush. Just we're going to run the ball just to keep it somewhat balanced. But it wasn't a real threat. I think now it's a true threat. And now Jackson Dart's ability with the RPO and with his ability as a quarterback designed run, that makes things tougher defensively to now all of a sudden have to defend that because now you have an extra blocker.
Yeah.
So usually as a defense, you always have one more guy because, nobody has somebody as the quarterback. But now that is a whole new wrinkle. And I think you're going to see layered plays off of that. So they've already, he ran for that 15-yard touchdown on a quarterback draw in the game. They're going to layer some things off of that as well. You're going to find different ways now. That was up the middle. Maybe now it's more of a perimeter run. Things that they already had in the offense. We saw Daniel Jones run some of those plays a couple of years ago. And I think that will be a wrinkle too. But I also think Cam Scadaboo, this is his forte. Before Tyrone Tracy got hurt, this is what he was going to do. He was going to be the short yardage, the goal line, get those tough yards. I think the one thing, and I've said this now, this is the second week now, I want to see Cam Scadaboo in the home position. What does that mean? I want him behind the center. All right, quarterback can be underneath, which Jackson Dart did not do a lot of. He is more of a shotgun guy. Fine. You want the quarterback in the shotgun? Put the running back behind him in the pistol formation because Cam Scadaboo needs to get his momentum going. If he gets downhill, his force and how powerful he is, he will find a way to get into the hole, and he will find a way to get in the end zone. But when you put him next to the quarterback, you shrink his running lanes. So I want to see him in the home position. I think that will benefit him, and it will give the offensive line more time to get that vertical push before they have to peel off for the second-level defenders.
Well, and also if you're behind the quarterback, it's like when you putt second. Somebody shows you the line. You're behind quarterback. You see kind of what the field is coming together as from their perspective rather than kind of off angle.
Yeah, and it definitely helps their vision. Because now, all right, I'm seeing the whole defense. I'm seeing everything. And when you put them to the side, as a defense, you're kind of restrictive. If the running back's to your right as a defender, he's not coming all the way over here.
Right.
So it's kind of like, all right, he's going to be in this frontside A gap or cutting back. And now I think that makes it easier on the defense. So those are a couple things. And then, look, I think Theo Johnson was the recipient of the shovel pass.
Yeah.
But I think that his role in the red zone can grow as well. And now you can layer things off of that motion. We saw Jackson Dart in the preseason score on a kind of a similar play, like he faked that toss and then threw the ball to Theo Johnson on a touchdown play. Now was the shovel pass, but I think that play action, just that little movement moves the linebackers just a little bit, which creates different throwing lanes. So that red zone, when you can create a little bit of space like that, it helps. And when the ball comes out quickly and on time, that is paramount in the red zone. And I thought Jackson Dart did a really good job of getting the ball out quickly on a lot of those quick throws.
Yeah. And I mean, it's one of those things too when you're trying to build off of these teachable moments to grow. it's so much easier, correct me if I'm wrong, to be teaching after a win, right? The energy is high, you're feeling optimistic, you're like, okay, we got the win, and let's grow and continue to get even better. And yes, you look at the schedule, I think going into this season, you look at the schedule and you think, all right, this Saints game is going to be the first one where you can kind of exhale. Yes, the Saints are 0-4 to start the season, and the Saints haven't won a game since last season, but you know who the last team the Saints beat was the New York Giants. So don't count your chickens on this one. And yes, it's a different team, and they're still figuring things out with Kellen Moore's offense and stuff, but it is a formidable opponent. You're going down to New Orleans on the road. You don't want to sleep on a roster just because they haven't won a game yet this season.
Yeah, I think when I was a player, September, I didn't care what anybody's record was. Like, don't tell me you're 1-3. Don't tell me you're 3-1, because you're not as good as you think you are, and you're not as bad as they say you are. So that is kind of, throw the record out the window. Look, the Giants were 0-3 a week ago, and everybody was like writing them off. That's it. It's done. Fire everybody. So, you just kind of look at, all right, what are we doing well? What do we need to fix? And I've always felt like at this time of the year, you focus on yourself more than the opponent.
Right.
What are we doing well? What do we need to work on? What do we need to get better at so that we can find a way to win games? And as the season goes along, if you get better at those things, taking care of yourself, what the other team is doing doesn't matter as much. But after we're now going into week 5, so now you have 4 weeks worth of film on your opponent. Week 2 you have 1 week. Week 3 you have 2 weeks. So now you actually have 4 full weeks. Plus they played last year, like you mentioned, and so you also have a chance to kind of go back and look at different tendencies. Kellen Moore, his offense has been around for a while, so some of the things offensively that he's going to try to do in some of the wrinkles. And a
familiar one because he was with the Eagles, so in the division.
He was with the Eagles, and he was in Dallas before that too. So, I think there's obviously some familiarity with that. But no, now you're going on the road. New Orleans, honestly, we have not played well in New Orleans as a franchise. Like that is, we've been down there and we've gotten beat down a couple times. It was kind of like the Saints came marching in and the band was playing the entire game. They were just ripping up points.
Yeah.
So that is a tough environment to play, especially when it gets loud and when that place is packed. So the silent count is going to be huge. Not going to be an issue for the quarterback so much because Jackson Dart, his snap count in college was this. He didn't have a cadence, so he was basically working on the silent count. But it's a challenge for the offensive line. It's really a challenge when you get into short yardage goal line situations because now the tight ends and everybody that's further away from the ball, they have a hard time seeing it, so you can be a little delayed. So that's something that they'll be working on internally this week in practice. But I think when you go on the road, you want to start fast.
Yeah.
They had an opening drive touchdown. I can't remember the last time the Giants had an opening drive touchdown. That is so huge.
Yeah.
The defense was playing with a lead. The Giants didn't trail a single time
at all against Chargers.
Against the Chargers. So that right there, your defense plays with a different edge and a little different, viciousness when they know the offense is scoring points or we have a lead. So
and a little bit more of a sense of security rather than a sense of urgency when you've got a lead in that play as well. I was talking to Jonathan Casillas about this, and you can hear it on this week's Giants Hangout. If you want to check out that conversation, but Casillas was talking about, Casillas also played for the Saints. He won a Super Bowl with them shortly after Katrina, and he mentioned how, playing with the Giants going into New Orleans, playing with the Saints as the home team there, both sides of the coin he's done. And that fan base, whether they're 4-0 or 0-4, are such a pick you up and rally and gas you up kind of fan base that they're going to still come loud. They're going to still come supportive. It's not like, if they're off to a slow start in the season like some other cities might be, that, the ticket sales might go down or that the crowd might be more for the visiting team or whatnot. The Saints fans really do show up loud and aggressive. So that environment, as you mentioned, is going to be a rambunctious one regardless of what the record is.
Yeah, I think they refer to themselves as Houdat Nation. They come well represented. But I think we're going to have a good contingency of New York, New Jersey, tri-state area people, because who doesn't want to go down to NOLA? Who doesn't want to go down there and get some gumbo,
get some po' boys,
get some po' boys, get some shrimp and grits. I know Giants fans, they're going to be down there ready to rock, and I'm sure they're going to be wearing lots of beads.
Shrimp scampi, shrimp stew, shrimp kebab.
That's about all shrimp that I can think of.
Popcorn shrimp, all the shrimp. Get some Bubba Gumps in there. All right, Giants fans, make sure you go and subscribe to the Giants Huddle podcast. It features long-form interviews with Giants players, coaches, and front office staff, past and present. Plus, You'll hear from the best analysts covering Big Blue and the NFL. Just search for Giants Huddle and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, or go to giants.com/podcasts. And don't forget, if you're on Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star positive review for all of our Giants podcasts. 201-939-4513 is the phone number. Let's head to the phone lines. Jason in New Haven. Jason, welcome to the show. You're on Big Blue Kickoff Live with Shaun and Madelyn. How's it going?
Hello, Madelyn and Shaun. How you guys doing?
Great.
Doing well. How are you?
Yeah. Good. I'll do a few quick points and I'll get off so you get other callers. Kudos to the team for being a really good Chargers team. They were undefeated, as you too well know, of course. And, we took it to their O-line. Now, I know people will say that Alt was out and Becton was out and Joe Alt was out, but as a Giants fan, cry me a river, because it seems like every year, unfortunately with Malik, we always suffer some kind of injury. So, I'm not going to give any caveats to a win where we beat another team, whether it was injuries or not. That was my first point. Secondly, over the last few years, I've always stated, Shaun, when you were the Giants, even the 80s teams, maybe even some of the good 90s teams, it always seemed like we had a few guys, which I don't think we've had the last few years, and I call them tone setters. With your team, it was the O-line, it was Bradshaw, it was Jacobs, it was Strahan, Pierce. You had guys that, I don't want to say, everybody's a pro athlete, so there's no fear in the game, but they're going to stick their helmet, and you got to be ready to play 48 minutes going against this team or this player. And watching Scatterboo and Dart and Abdul and Burns and Dexter, to me, those are a tone set, especially on offense. Scatterboo, the way he runs is infectious, especially wearing that 44. I know they're different players, but he does remind me a little of Bradshaw. Maybe Bradshaw had a little quicker feet, maybe. But just having a tone setter, man, something that I feel like we've been missing the last few years with the team. So it was just good to see us kind of give it to the Chargers. We didn't back down, we didn't lay down, and we gave it to them, and we beat them fair and square, regardless of who was on their team or who was hurt and who was not. My last point is, it was sad to see Malik go down, of course. I mean, he's such a big part of our offense. But, what I would like to see going on now, Shaun and Madelyn, is kind of a duplicate of what we saw. And I know the personnel is different maybe, but kind of what we saw in 2022, which was our lone playoff push, that 22 playoff push that year. We were a very run-heavy team. Now, I know we had Saquon, who's definitely a difference maker. But in terms of the play calling, shortening the field, making it easier for Dart, a lot of play action, boots. That's what I would like to see the rest of the year, because you really can't replicate or see, you really can't replace Malik. He's such a talent. You can't really replace it. And I don't know if we have a receiver on the roster that could take that kind of step up. While I am a Slayton fan, I don't see him taking that one role. So what do you, Madelyn and Shaun, what do you think of kind of replicating that 2022 offensive kind of philosophy where there's a lot of 2-3 tight end sets, a lot of running the ball, a lot of play action, a lot of bootlegs? What do you two think about it? And I'll take your answer off the air.
Thanks so much for the call, Jason. Appreciate that insight and all that. I think one point that he made that I will absolutely agree with is you can't easily replace a guy like Malik Neighbors, but you could do it by a committee of different players. Yeah,
you're never going to replace him with just one guy. So everybody's kind of have to pick up the slack and pick up the production. We appreciate the call, Jason. I think you're going back to 2022. The thing that I think struck me the most about that team was they didn't have a Malik Neighbors. They didn't have like a number one receiver.
Right.
Slayton has been the big play guy for years, and I think he's got more catches over 50 yards, than any other receiver, certainly for the Giants, but maybe even in the league the last couple of years. So he's been kind of a big play Slay, if you will. So I think he can fill that void in certain capacities. But that team in 2022, they went into Minnesota and won a playoff game with Isaiah Hodgins as kind of Daniel Jones' number one target. So you can find a way to manufacture wins and manufacture production. I think this offense, you're going to see different types of offense. I think now the Giants need to be able to go on 10, 12, 14 play drives. You need to be able to possess the ball, convert on third downs, and score that way. This is not going to be, hey, we've got these huge explosive plays like we saw in week 2 when Malik was running past the defense. The other aspect of losing Malik, not just his ability, but what he does to the defenses.
Right. He's not drawing double teams anymore,
right.
So it spreads
the coverage
out
has changed.
Yeah.
So we saw Kansas City play a lot of 2 high safeties. They had somebody over the top. We're not going to let Malik Neighbors beat them with the deep ball. Well, that softened the defense. Now you have a 6-man box because now you have basically 4 defenders, 2 safeties, 2 corners. So you end up with a 6-man box if you bring a slot receiver in there because now they have a slot defender outside. So that opens up your run game. So that could be a challenge to try to run the football because now people are going to come in and say, well, you know what, we're going to load the box, not let you run. We're going to make you throw. Somebody's going to have to step up. Somebody's going to have an opportunity to do that. So I think the Giants have players that can do that. Wan'Dale Robinson, look, he has just as many catches this year as Malik. So he's been just as big of a part of this offense, and he's been a great third down weapon. So you're going to have to step up from that capacity. I think you were talking about the tone setter, and I think that's a great word. I look at in a different way. There's other words that I can throw in there too. This team has an identity. When is the last time that you could say that the offense had this identity and this personality?
Yeah, and we kind of felt that coming into the season a little bit with the new acquisitions and the kind of swag and the little bit
they were having fun.
The bromance
there was like a passion going on. So I think that's what is so great for Giants fans. You want to come and see good football, but you also want to be entertained. You want to see guys that look like they're having fun. They enjoy what they're doing. They're celebrating. They're doing it well. They're doing it with passion. They're doing it with a flair. Jackson Dart, he's got plenty of flair. I mean, if he works at Tchotchke's, he would have 25 pieces of flair.
Over the bare minimum.
I think that has stimulated the entire offense. Cam Scadaboo doing what he's doing, that has been contagious. And you see the guys now, hey, man, he just trucked somebody. Or, hey, did you see that block? Like, everybody kind of wants to get in on that. So we haven't had offensive electric personalities like that.
High fives and the celebration.
Yeah, they got everyone's got dances and
I don't
handshakes.
know. I'm in awe. Especially Tyler Nubin has like a secret handshake with half the roster. I'm like, how do you remember all? It's like choreography and It's remembering a whole nother playbook of just handshakes. But you know what? I respect the
only reason you can get away with that is because they don't have 2-a-days anymore. So now you only have one practice. The other, instead of practicing the second time, now we work on our handshakes and celebrations. But that's the fans like to see that.
Yeah.
And then I think defensively, the defensive line is, they are the driving force. These guys are taking over games. Kayvon Thibodeau has been playing lights out. Brian Burns
has 5 sacks
right now.
Yeah.
And his Spider-Man thing, he's been saving some of those because I think he wanted it to be like a monumental play.
Yeah.
And that sack on third down was huge. That was basically a game clincher. So I think his impact and his tone setting, to use Jason's term, that identity on defense now, look, people are turning on the film and they're like, this is a scary crew. Like, if I'm Spencer Rattler, like I got to get the ball out. Yeah, and we didn't even talk about Abdul Carter.
Right.
He's leading all rookies in quarterback pressures and hits. So
by a significant margin.
I think that's what we're seeing from this Giants team. We're starting to see an identity. Here's who we are on offense, and here's what we're doing on defense. And I think that equates to some good wins.
My only note with Jason's call is he mentioned, Shaun, he alluded to the era in which you played and said it was the 80s and 90s, which I would like to say, Jason, wow, we do know that Shaun...
I heard it differently.
Oh, okay.
He said, I appreciated when you played, and then he said also back when they were in the 80s and 90s.
Okay,
he wasn't calling me Bardos.
I was like, hold on.
I caught you, Jason. I'm with you.
I was like, Jason, we can't add a couple decades to Shaun.
Yeah, I got some grays, but I'm not that old.
Yeah. I was going to say, you're aging like Benjamin Button if you played in the 80s and 90s. 201-939-4513 is the phone number. Giants fans, with another impactful draft and free agency class in the books. That means it's full steam ahead to the 2025 season. You can take your fandom to the next level with a Giants season ticket membership. Catch all the action at MetLife Stadium. With an exciting home schedule on the horizon. And with membership, you'll also stay connected to the club all year round, not just on game days, with exclusive member access and benefits. So to learn more about a New York Giants season ticket membership, just visit giants.com. Tickets. 201-939-4513. Let's go back to the phone lines, which are lighting up on a Wednesday. We've got Anthony in South Carolina. Anthony, welcome to Big Blue Kickoff Live. You're on the Shaun and Madelyn.
How you doing, Madelyn?
Doing well. How are you, Anthony?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I love your energy.
Thank you.
Gee, man, I just want to say thank you for the Super Bowls, man. I grew up, my brother was a Patriots fan, so you gave me the ability to win all arguments.
Wow, I love that. We got a little Cain and Abel going here, huh, Anthony?
Thanks. But first I want to say, man, prayers out to Malik Neighbors, and I know he's going to be electric in New Orleans. It's homecoming, and so I just want to say prayers out to him, and I want to say prayers out to John Mara, too. So,
yes.
And then,
thank you for that.
So
for
Before I wanted to ask you, how can Jackson Dart and John Michael Smith get like a better connection on the center and stuff? Like what do they got to do to like work on that? And that's really all I wanted to know. And I just wanted to take it off there with that.
All right, thanks so much for the call, Anthony.
Yeah, Anthony, we appreciate it. I think really Jackson Dart, when in college, he was in shotgun almost the whole time. So this is not a JMS Jackson Dart issue, like, hey, he's not under center because of that. But I do think, look, it's different. JMS has been working with Russell, pretty much all through camp and then to start the season. So anytime a new quarterback comes in, there's a different rhythm with the cadence. There's a different, obviously when he's under center, you kind of get used to that. But just to kind of peel back the onion on practice schedules. So the first people out on the field are usually in practice on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's usually the kickers, the specialists. But along with them, we would have quarterback center exchange. And we would do that for probably 10 to 12 minutes before practice even started. So I was always out there early. Quarterbacks were out there early. And all we did was snap the ball to each other. They would call out plays. They would visualize the play. They would go through all the calls. And we would be under center for a lot of them, in shotgun for a lot. But it was kind of a way for us to just make sure this center quarterback exchange, it has to be automatic. It's like breathing. You don't think about it. You just do it. It just happens. So you get that automatic, and then you also do it in shotgun. Obviously, I mentioned this week they're going to be in silent count a lot because of the noise down in New Orleans. So you're working on the shotgun, you're working on the silent count, making sure that is a smooth transition. One of the challenges is anytime you're on the road is when you're at the line and you're 2-minute offense or you're trying to go no huddle, you can barely hear. So you kind of have to have code words and you're saying things to one side of the line, and then you have to be aware of the clock as well. So as a center, every time we played an away game, when I would go out and walk up the field on my own and do my own warm up, I would walk up and down the field and find the play clock. On each stadium, it's in a different location. Sometimes it's up a little higher, sometimes it's down low. You find the clock so that you always know what the clock looks like. If the clock's running down, hey, I got to speed this up. We don't want to get a delay of game. So quarterbacks and centers, you always know where that play clock is. So you're aware of that, and you got to be in lockstep with that so that the rhythm, and I think that's something that they'll continue to get better at. But, I think for to me, it's less about the snapping. Mm-hmm. It's more about the blocking. Like we still have some room for improvement. We got to get better. There's too many times where we're running the ball and we're getting zero. We're getting stuffed. So I think that there's still room for improvement. And I feel like they have gotten better every week as a unit, as a group. Obviously, Andrew Thomas coming back has helped all that
significantly. Yeah.
But I still think JMS is still trending up. I'd like to see him start stacking weeks.
Yeah. And like you mentioned too, just developing that chemistry with Jackson Dart is going to come with time and with repetition. But it's not necessarily, I think, to the caller's point, it's not necessarily about, he's in shotgun, that must mean X, Y, Z. It's just that's more of a comfort level in terms of how you position yourself in the offense for the quarterback. And a lot of that is because we saw right out of the gate way more RPOs. Right, the run pass option. Well, you have to do that out of shotgun. Right. Because, boom, it's shotgun, you catch it, and you're faking it here, and then now you either run or throw it. So that has to be done out of shotgun, and I think that's really where Jackson Dart is comfortable. Yeah. Speaking of Jackson Dart's comfort, we know that in the game on Sunday against the Chargers, he did kind of pull up and was dealing with a hamstring injury. It was reported.
It looked like a cramp almost, and then it seemed like he was all right, but he was definitely favoring it.
Yeah, they called it a hamstring injury. The PR department did, but he didn't leave the game. He didn't miss any time. He was favoring it quite a bit, but after the halftime, he came out and, as you pointed out in the post-game show, he was running and didn't seem hobbled in that. Brian Dable, in his media availability this morning, said that there will be no limitations on Jackson Dart. So just a little game soreness. It's great news for the quarterback. In terms of practice on Wednesday, though, Greg Van Roten is getting a vet day, so he won't be in there. I'd anticipate that means a lot of reps for Evan Neal, perhaps. Tyrone Tracy is getting closer, but he's not ready yet. Dealt with that shoulder injury a couple weeks ago. Still working through that. They will be pacing him as needed. And then Dexter Lawrence is out of practice today because he's sick. So hopefully Dex drink up on that chicken noodle soup, some bone broth, hydrate, and get well soon, Dex.
Yeah, I think Dex will be all right. Greg Van Roten, the Veteran Day. I wish that Veteran Day existed back when I played. I don't think I ever got a Veteran Day off. So cheers to you, GVR. He's got a babe. But yeah, that's basically.
I think a vet day is just like, you're still really sore because you're on the back nine of the career. So let's give those muscles an extra day to.
It's a break recover. Because you're old. It means you're crusty.
It's a nice way of saying you can order off the back page at Denny's soon. But
to your point, you know what? Like, it's a great opportunity for a guy like Evan Neal. Aaron Stinney also is. I think he was out last week. Stinney was, but it gives other guys some reps at that position, and without kind of beating up your guy. But yeah, later on in my career, I'll be honest with you, I was still sore on Wednesdays. It used to be your first 4 years in the league, you're sore on Monday, and then by Tuesday you're good. As you kind of get into years 8, 9, and 10, it's like, all right, I'm not that bad on Monday. Tuesday was like the really sore day. And then sometimes later on in the career and as the season progresses, it's like Wednesday, you're still trying to get up. So I think that's just kind of more of a load management thing.
Yeah, got to manage it. Giants fans, the Giants are hosting a 5K race and kids run presented by Quest on October 26th at 9 a.m. at MetLife Stadium. Net proceeds will benefit the Giants Foundation, and all participants will receive a commemorative T-shirt. Plus, after the race, stay for a post-race festival with appearances by Giants legends and a live DJ. You can register now at giants.com/5K. The Giants Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit corporation. Shaun, that 5K is on a Sunday. What day do you think you'll be done being sore from running that one?
Good question. You know what? I ran it last year, and I really wasn't that sore.
That's impressive.
I think the next day my quads were just a little bit sore, but it just felt like a good leg day workout.
Yeah.
If I was running a marathon, I probably wouldn't. I feel like it would take me a couple of days to recover from that. But this is such a great event, and that's why I love it, and I try to do it every year because, look, it's 5K, which is like 3.1 miles. Yeah. So, and you can run and walk
half-hour run.
You don't have to be, the road runner. You don't have to be the Energizer Bunny to run this. You can do it at your own pace. There are people that jog it. There are people that run it aggressively, and they're trying to beat their personal best. Some people run and walk. There are women pushing strollers. There are kids riding bikes. So it's great. I feel bad that I have to throw the kids out of the way because I'm like, I'm on my pace. I'm trying to keep it under 9-minute mile.
We're going for a PR.
Yeah. So kids, watch out. Sometimes you feel like Frank the Tank when you're trying to get them out of the way. You're mushing this kid and that kid, but no, I'm kidding.
Shaun's gonna have his fingers taped up, ready to.
I'm gonna have the eye black. We're ready to rock. We came to conquer the world. Yeah.
But it's such a cool event, and it does finish right at MetLife Stadium. So what a cool experience to be able to get on the field and check it out in that regard.
That's the best part.
Yeah.
So like the finish when you come into the stadium, because everybody's kind of lined up on the finish line, and it's a really cool moment for everybody to kind of come through and finish. But hopefully we get as gorgeous of a day as we had this past Sunday. And you had your women's tailgate.
Yeah.
Couldn't have asked for a better day.
Although you
got a little crispy there.
It was toasty.
Do we need some aloe?
Yeah, I got a little bit of a sunburn on my shoulder out there, but you know what? I'm here for it. A late September sunburn. Sign me up. I'll take the sun. I'm a California girl at heart. I take the sunshine any day.
Hell yeah, we'll take that Indian summer all day.
Exactly. It's still nice out today too. I mean, I know it's officially fall. It's officially October. Can you believe it? But you know what? We still got some beautiful weather up here in the Northeast. All right, 201-939-4513. Let's get back to the phone lines. Jeff in Maine. Jeff, welcome to the show. You're on Big Blue Kickoff Live with Shaun and Madelyn.
Hey, thanks so much for taking my call. It's great to talk to you guys.
Thanks for calling.
What would you think about playing Gunnar Olszewski more like in the slot on offense, and then maybe that would free up Wan'Dale to play more outside? I'm thinking he had a great rapport with Jackson Dart in the preseason, and maybe he could be kind of that possession receiver type like Isaiah Hodgins was like in 22.
Yeah, look, I think Gunnar would love that. He would love to get more reps on offense. I think right now he's kind of designated as special teams. I think Wan'Dale is the slot guy. Like they're not going to move Wan'Dale out of the slot. So It's really who's going to take the place outside for Malik. So that's Darius Slayton. That's Bo Collins. I think you mentioned Little Jordan Humphrey. It's kind of one of those bigger receivers. But listen, I'm sure Gunnar would love to get a couple of opportunities to touch the football. And look, if you find a way to get him out there, he's gonna give you his all. That's for sure. I think they love Gunnar. It's part of the reason why they brought him back as soon as Ford Wheaton tore his Achilles. Gunnar's one of those guys that, man, whatever you ask him to do, he's going to do it. And he's going to give you 120%. So I think he would welcome that. But I think Wan'Dale is, he's the slot receiver. He's done a great job with that, and he's got such a great set of skills for getting in and out of the breaks, and then also he kind of sets you up. He runs that little whip route, and kind of brings the defenders in, and then on the next play he runs right by you. So I think Wan'Dale, this is the fastest I've seen him in a while, and this is the best that he has looked. So I expect his production to really increase. But appreciate the call, Jeff.
Yeah, thank you so much for calling in, Jeff, and I like the insight. Another piece of information just wanted to share with you all. I know we mentioned Brian Dable said Jackson Dart will not be limited at all. He is out there on the practice field warming up. He's got K-tape on his left leg, on the back of his left leg, which is going to be helpful. So he's still, powering through that hamstring. But again, not limited. And K-tape, if you're not familiar, is that, black tape that you see kind of players have on muscles at times. It's helpful in supporting without limiting your movement. So it's just like
it also increases circulation.
Yes.
So it's trying to promote the healing. It keeps the muscle warm. So it's kind of this new technology that it's probably been around for a couple of years, but you kind of put it on if it's a soft tissue injury. You can kind of put it on there, and it keeps it warm, help expedite the healing process.
It kind of stabilizes a little bit too.
Yeah, I think it gives you a little extra reinforcement. So that's good that he's wearing that. I will say this too. Look, if I'm Brian Dable and my quarterback has a hamstring injury, I'm not telling anybody.
Yeah.
And guess what? We're full go. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to I don't want to take anything away. I don't want to give anybody any more information. So, just hey, yep, 100%. And Jackson Dart even said at the press conference, they said, "How you feeling? How you doing?" "I'm great. Here we go."
Yeah.
Like, whether you're feeling great or whether you're not, the answer is, "I'm great. Let's roll."
I'm great. Let's roll. And if he wasn't able to do it, he wouldn't be out there doing it. So he's going to be just fine by Sunday. 201-939-4513 is the phone number. Phone lines booked and busy today. Let's get back to him. Coach Kevin from Arizona. Kevin, welcome to the show. 1 second.
Hi.
There we go. Kevin, you're on Big Blue Kickoff Live with Shaun and Madelyn. How's it going?
Hi. Hi, Madelyn. Hi, Shaun. It's going great. How are you guys doing?
Doing well.
Fantastic.
Hey, I just wanted, I called you several times in the past, but I wanted to share some thoughts. I was a little disappointed in the red zone offense. Been that way for the last couple of weeks, especially inside the 10. Back in 1990 or so, I had a kid very much like Jackson, a very athletic kid, and Ronnie was really good at doing bootlegs and that type of stuff, boot passes and all that. And we ran on offense, when we got in that red zone area, we kind of ran a double tight, double wide out off ball receivers with the single back or like a pistol type formation, but we always made it look the same. So the defense really didn't know which side we were going to attack, but we went double tight in that area because we could do a lot of things with our tight ends, and that's what I'd like to see happen more with the offense, especially in that 10 yards and in, where you can use those tight ends like on a smash route. Have the boot side tight end smash in block for a second and then flare out to the flat on the upper part of the goal line, and then the wide out does a deep Z out. In other words, he's slant and corner, but it's deep, it's flat and deep, and it puts that cornerback in terrible conflict because he's got the tight end flaring out in front of him. He's got the backside guy. He'll probably lose sight of him because we used to hit that pass a lot in the back corner all the time. And then you got the rollout with the quarterback on the bootleg, and then you got a drag coming from the backside tight end coming right across the formation. I mean, that we're flooding the whole right side or left side just on that bootleg, fake to the back bootleg action where, my quarterback had 4 or 5 options, or he could just run it. I mean, it just puts so much conflict on the defense, especially, and you don't know which way you're going because they can't cheat. All they could do is maybe try to blitz or something. But I just think with Jackson's ability, it reminds me so much of Ronnie when I coached him back in '90 when he got a full ride scholarship to Boise State. I mean, they come and got him right away because he could run and throw just like Jackson does. It was so similar. And as a matter of fact, I even sent something to Coach Dable on my 3 plays that I ran all the time out of that double tight end, double wide out, single back pistol. And we ran an inside trap off it. We ran a zone run, like a stretch play toward either side. And then we let the back just pick his hole, let him cut back on a stretch, kind of like a deep outside zone block with a cutback. And that way you're hitting the middle with like an inside trap or a power. We did the stretch play to hit like the 6 hole or something like that, and then we had that bootleg. And they just couldn't stop us. We scored. I don't think we ever got stopped on the goal line ever unless Ronnie dropped the ball or fumbled it. But he was great at it. And that V-out pass, that deep, flat, slant corner, always open. Always open.
Kevin, you got a question in here somewhere?
Kevin's got some coaching strategy. He's just like, I got things to say today.
We got other callers too, so if you got a question, let's have it.
No, that's all. I just wanted to say more tight ends, maybe even 3 tight ends. I'd like to see the tight ends get more involved since we lost the receiver. That's all I'm trying to say.
Kevin, we love when you call in. We appreciate all the insight. And listen, I guarantee you,
thanks for the call,
Brian
Kevin.
Dable has been coaching for 25 years. I guarantee you, he has all those plays. I guarantee you he is going to find ways to get Jackson Dart out of the pocket. He also coached Josh Allen up in Buffalo. Mm-hmm. So he had the same kind of quarterback. Look, we're going to find a way to stress the defense by moving the pocket, using his legs. Theo Johnson, we already saw him use him in a very creative shovel pass type scheme. We had not seen that play before from the Giants. We've seen it from the Chiefs before. Mm-hmm. We've seen it from the Bills before. But those kind of wrinkles are exactly what you get. And I think when you go
Mike
back
Kafka
and look at
coming from the Chiefs also,
yeah, they have. Listen, the play design is not the problem; it's the execution that becomes an issue in the red zone. But even on that 4th down play, when Jackson Dart found a way to kind of make a play, gets the ball to Wan'Dale, like you got to catch that. Like he made a heck of a play to even get out of trouble, and then to find a way. If you can break the pocket with your legs as a quarterback in the red zone, it definitely puts a lot of stress on the defense. So yeah, I'm sure we'll see a lot of that. And Dable loves his 2 tight end, 3 tight end packages. So
that he does.
We appreciate all that, Kevin. Appreciate you calling in and love hearing from you.
Yeah, and respect the passion for the game and for the coaching element of that. And always a pleasure. All right, we're getting a lot of comments on YouTube as well, so I want to kind of chime in with some of those. Ryan Johnson says he's at work, so he can't call, which is unfortunate, but he says, love you, Shaun. What was the worst you've seen at the bottom of the pile?
Well, listen,
it's a family show.
Those who live in glass houses don't throw stones. I've been at the bottom of the pile doing some stuff too, so I'm not going to throw stones. I'm not going to throw any shade at anybody. It's not as crazy as you think. Like nobody's gouging eyeballs out or whatever. But yeah, I mean, are you going to give somebody the business every now and then? Yeah, but you also got to make sure that you know who you're poking, right? You don't want to poke the bear, and now you got the best defensive player on their team mad at you, and now he's coming after you. So you kind of got to use your discretion, just like you're using your discretion at work. So we appreciate you listening on the JOB.
Yeah, thanks for calling in, and or thanks for chiming in on YouTube. Thunder wants to know, do you see Turbo getting called up anytime soon? He'll add some juice to the run and screen game for sure, I feel. Salute emoji, lightning emoji, lightning emoji. Thunder with the lightning. I mean,
thunder
Turbo
before the lightning
for the thunder.
Which one comes first? Yeah.
Thunder only happens when it's raining, according to some songs. But
interesting.
Thunder. I do. We're just off the rails. I think you're right. Like, there is a potential opportunity. I think there's a lot of questions to be answered in terms of practice squad call-ups. So it's a possibility. Brandon Davis also wants to know, will they elevate? There we go. We got there. Will they elevate Humphreys from the practice squad? It's something that we talked about at the beginning of the show. Lil Jordan Humphreys and Jackson Dart showed that they clearly had chemistry in the preseason together. They've worked together quite a bit during practices.
Yeah. There's some gamesmanship with that whole thing. And usually those moves don't get transactionally processed until Friday. Mm-hmm. And the reason why is because why would we announce that today? Like, if we are going to activate somebody from the practice squad, you have them in practice running with the 1s and 2s, knowing that, hey, they're going to be a part of the game, but you don't actually have to make it a transaction until Friday. Or whenever that is, Friday
or even
afternoon
game day
or Saturday morning or whatever.
Update,
so that's something that you'll find out after the fact. But yeah, Dante Miller looked great in preseason. I think he would be a nice addition. I thought Devin Singletary did a nice job, and look, he's a veteran running back. I think him and Cam Scadaboo right now are a pretty good 1-2 punch. But the key is we have to stay with it. 42 runs in that game. Now, some of them were not designed runs. They were scrambles, would count as rushes, but I think that is winning football right there. If you can run the ball 35 to 40 times in a game, you're doing something right, and you're converting on third down. So that was a big part of the Giants' success. I think they were 7 of 14.
Yeah. The Giants have yet to have a 100-yard rusher yet this season, though. Cam Scadaboo's gotten up to 79, I want to say.
Yeah, it's been spread around. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but look, if Cam Scadaboo, if he gets 100 yards rushing, the Giants are winning the game. That, if he's taking over the game, then good things are happening.
And good things are happening. Armand, picking up what I'm laying down. Thunder only happens when it's raining. Fleetwood Mac, salute. You're mowing what I'm growing.
Nice.
I don't know. We're just saying
Leave
things
that one
now.
Alone.
It's like a lawnmower. Brandon Davis, what would you guys say should be Dart's main focus when facing the Saints?
Take care of the football.
Yeah.
I think that was the biggest thing to take away from that game. I mean, he's a rookie in the NFL, 0 turnovers. We'll take that every week. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing. Take care of the football. Take care of yourself. But I think he did a great job with just, making some plays, and you could just see it was natural to him. Mm-hmm. Even on that first drive, he stepped up in the pocket, climbed the pocket, slid out. He's waving to his receiver, telling him what to do. He took immediate command of the offense. I thought he had great rhythm in a lot of the RPOs and good decision making. So I think those are all things to build on, but take care of the football. That's always first and foremost.
And to that, I will add to just protect the ball and protect yourself. We saw in the preseason, he said, even posted an Instagram story like, okay, I will slide more. I think he and Cam Scadaboo have such a clear bromance because they were made from the same factory. They both are just tough, physical, not afraid of physical contact in the game, and I think we see that with the way that Jackson runs. He doesn't shy away from contact. He thinks, okay, how can I get this a little bit more? But, a little self-preservation in certain moments. He will learn. He will grow into that, and hopefully he will learn that before it becomes an expensive lesson. But, get down and slide. Take what you got and live to see another down.
Yeah, you want to kind of just diminish the risk
yes,
when possible. But they are definitely both made of the same, like you mentioned, toys. Like, I think back, they both had Tonka trucks. Oh, yeah. Like, when you were a kid, if you had a big Tonka truck, it was actually metal. Like, back when kids were allowed to have toys that were heavy and that were actually made of substance. Tonka trucks. There was also a toy called the Animal, and it was like this car that it was kind of like a truck-like car.
Like a transformer almost?
Well, but it had like big 4 wheels, and there was claws that came out of the wheels when it needed to climb, and it was like the animal. Can anything stop the animal? And it could it was like the first car that could climb over anything, climb over rocks, climb over dirt, grass, mud, whatever. Your sister, your dog, whatever. It would climb over everything, and it was called the Animal, and that's what Cam Scadaboo reminds me of.
Works up, Al Michaels, also a Sun Devil.
Oh, there you go.
So there we go. We got that one going for us, which is nice. Giants fans, the Giants official connected TV streaming app Giants TV brings original video content and game highlights on demand and direct to Big Blue fans. Giants TV is free on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire TV, and on the Giants mobile app. 201-939-4513. Let's head back to the phone lines. Brandon in Shelton, Connecticut. Thanks for calling in. You're on Big Blue Kickoff Live with Shaun and Madelyn.
Hey, Shaun. Hey, Madelyn. How you guys doing today?
Great.
Doing well. How are you, Brandon?
Nice. I'm doing well. This is my very first time being on the show. I've been a Giants fan for over 22 years, dating back to 2003 when we beat the Washington Redskins at the time by a field goal. My question to you guys is, should the offense focus on RPOs, quick action game, and run heavy plays, or what should they be really focusing on? I believe we should continue to run the ball, take care of the ball, ground to pound, just like we did when we beat the Patriots in 2007 and 2011.
Thanks so much for the call, Brandon. First time, long time over here. I mean, I think, what you said is kind of accurate, and what we've kind of spoke about too is, Shaun, to the point that you made earlier that, establishing the run game is so important. But we've seen how with the quick tempo, Jackson Dart does kind of thrive in that situation as well, and also kind of throws the defense off, gives them a little bit less time to set.
Yeah, I think, look, the run game is crucial to the RPO, that whole concept. If you can't run the ball, they're not going to respect that aspect of the RPO. So I think that's huge. We saw in that opening drive, the RPO, I mean, they ran it, I want to say 3, maybe even 4 plays in a row. And what Jackson Dart did a great job of is once he saw that there was a blitzer or there was some sort of a weak blitz, weak zone coming, he just tucked the ball and ran. So it's really a three-headed monster. He can hand the ball off in the run game. If the defense, all of a sudden you're seeing a void, you can make that quick throw, which ends up being kind of like a run play anyways, if it's a little 3-yard throw. But I think it kind of also allowed him the ability to get away from pressure. Because in the RPO, you're keeping your eyes on the defense all the time. You're catching the ball, but you're reading that defender. So it kind of, they kind of pay each other off. If you're running the ball well, the RPO has even more teeth, and it kind of draws the linebackers in. That's really what you're trying to do, is to bring those second-level defenders in, bring the linebackers in, get them to step up, and then now you can throw the ball behind them. That's the ideal concept. But I think that, once you start building that, then you layer other plays off of that. The other aspect to the RPO is that now, as an offensive line, you can kind of focus on other defenders. You leave one guy for the quarterback. So that defensive end on the backside is who he's reading. Mm-hmm. So as he's looking at the defense, he's faking the handoff to the running back. I'm looking at that defensive end to see what does he do. He's unblocked. So now you've got an additional blocker. And you're basically eliminating that defender with that fake. If he runs up the field, I hand the ball off to the running back. Nobody ever blocked that guy, but he's out of the play. If he crashes down on the running back, now I pull it and I can either throw it or keep it myself. So you've kind of leveled the playing field of 11 on 11 without having to block that specific defender. So that's why it's such a challenge for defenses, because now it's almost like a choose your own adventure and you can never be right.
Yeah, but you got to have options. I love the way that Shaun breaks the game down like that, too. I'm just like, okay, you see it, and you simplify it in a way that makes it make so much more sense.
I try to get into the weeds a little bit, but not too much. But yeah, it's fun to talk football. It's hard sometimes when you can't draw.
Yeah. But you have a good way with words of describing it that makes it that you can visualize it.
I'm trying to be like Kevin.
There you go.
Kevin was breaking it down for us.
Coach Kevin had some
He's got a playbook, man.
He's got a playbook, and honestly, how benevolent of him to just share it so freely.
Yeah, he's not scared of copyright infringements.
He's like, listen, the Giants are going to be running the Coach Kevin plays pretty soon. We know that the Giants fans watching and listening are also a big fan of the way you break down the game. Marco Perez says we should get an O-line report from Shaun every week.
Deal. Let's do it.
Deal. He also
all we need is a sponsor.
Yeah.
If we get a sponsor, we'll do anything.
Sponsored by nobody. It'll be like EJ's Nito stat of the week, but it's like Shaun's Nito O-line breakdown of the week. Sponsored by nobody.
Here we go.
We can get there, though.
Possibly you.
Possibly
investors.
You know what? 201-939-4513. Call up to sponsor.
All I need is some leather gloves and a walkie-talkie. Cell phones.
10-4 rubber ducky.
Prestige worldwide.
Yeah. The Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria. Mr. Superman 585 says, did Hyatt even get a play against the Chargers, and do you think he will get a chance against the Saints? Hyatt was on the field a bit during the Chargers game. We saw him out there.
Great question. Let's turn to our little stats over here. Let's see
handy dandy stat book.
How many snaps
did one Jalen Hyatt.
Jalen Hyatt had 29 offensive snaps. And that's not special teams. So he had 29 snaps. So yes, he did. He did get in there, and absolutely. We were talking before about with Malik Neighbors being out. This is a great opportunity. Jalen Hyatt is one of those guys that, look, you're going to get a shot. You're going to get a chance now. And I think just kind of the way that things have worked out, he hasn't gotten as many opportunities in the regular season. We saw him in the preseason. He can run by people. Like, that's never been a question with him. He can run by people. Can he get off the press coverage? And he had a little case of the dropsies there in the preseason. He atoned for that later on in that game. But this is a great opportunity for Jalen Hyatt to now be that vertical threat, to now all of a sudden be that big playmaker that he was at Tennessee.
Yeah, and we'll see, because what happens is, luck is when preparation meets opportunity, right? So sometimes people will be like, wow, This person was so lucky they got that opportunity. Well, no, they were just prepared and ready for when the opportunity presented itself. So now for Jalen Hyatt, the opportunity may present itself. Is he prepared? Is he ready to capitalize on it? That's up to him, and we'll see how that shakes out.
That's a great saying. It's a great quote. Everybody should have that. And there's another quote that kind of adds a layer to that, and it's amazing how the more prepared I am, the luckier I get.
That part. Exactly, right? The more you do, the more you know. .gif. Well, now that we've motivated and informed you on a Wednesday, I feel like that's a wrap for our show this week. Shaun, are you excited about Giants Saints?
That was quick. I
know.
am.
It flew by, but it's a whole hour. It's just time flies when you're having fun.
I feel like we got
hanging out with Mad Dog and 60 Cent.
Two teams, both with New York, New Orleans, a lot of ties.
Where is Old Orleans?
It's probably underwater. I don't know.
Orleans Darkwa?
This is the New Orleans. Just like there's the Old York. I don't know.
It's in England somewhere. It's somewhere where it's British. York.
Yeah. But I feel like the Saints and the Giants, we have a long history relationship. Obviously Eli being from New Orleans, and I'll never forget when we actually played a home game at Old Giant Stadium against the Saints when Hurricane Katrina hit. And their stadium and their whole city was devastated, and we actually played them up here in Giant Stadium, and it was a home game for the Saints. So that's peeling back the years, going back a long ways. But this has always been, I feel like it's been kind of one of those rivalries where like the home team always has a little bit of a leg up. But this is two great fan bases, as you mentioned before. Yeah, we got Who Dat Nation. We got the G-Men. Big Blue. Here we go. I know there's a lot of Giants fans that are headed down there to NOLA, so I'll say, pace yourselves. Be careful. All right, be careful. There's
sipping on the hurricanes on Bourbon Street.
Yes, hurricanes are dangerous. Both the weather ones and the beverages.
Any neon cocktails are going to be
and stay
less than memorable.
Be careful if somebody hands you something and says it's absinthe. The absinthe house there.
Absinthe does not make the heart grow fonder.
Absinthe can be very dangerous.
It can be indeed. But have some fun if you're going out there. Support Big Blue.
And have some beignets.
Oh my gosh. Can someone bring me back a beignet? They don't travel well, but they're so good. They're still like a dog.
Yeah. You're not going to not eat the
Not going to not eat the beautifully powdered sugar covered pastry. No.
Yeah, I'll take one.
I'll take them. All right. Well, that's our show for today. Thanks for joining us from the Giants Podcast Studio, presented by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. And thank you for listening to today's episode of Big Blue Kickoff Live, which is presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Giants, and part of the Giants podcast platforms everywhere. You can find it all on giants.com/podcast. For the Super Bowl champ, Shaun O'Hara, I'm Madelyn Burke. We'll see you next time.